What if everything in your wallet, every number in your bank account, every stock, every bond, every currency you trusted suddenly became meaningless overnight? Would civilization collapse, or would something far older, far stronger, quietly take its place? Welcome to Financial Empire, where we uncover the forgotten history behind the world's greatest economic mysteries. And today we explore a question that has haunted empires, kings, merchants, and ordinary families for thousands of years. What survives when money fails? History tells us that every currency, no matter how powerful, eventually faces its moment of reckoning. Ancient Rome once ruled much of the known world, with coins stamped by emperors believed to be almost divine. Roman silver denarii fueled trade across continents, paid massive armies, and built roads that still exist today. But as wars grew expensive and the empire struggled to fund its endless ambitions, emperors quietly reduced the silver inside their coins, replacing precious metal with cheaper alloys while pretending nothing had changed. At first, people barely noticed. Then, prices climbed. Trust vanished. Merchants demanded more coins for the same goods, savings evaporated. The greatest empire on earth discovered a painful truth. Money only works as long as people believe it does. Centuries later, another lesson emerged in medieval Europe when devastating wars, famine, and plague disrupted trade. Coins became scarce, markets emptied, and entire towns found themselves unable to rely on currency. Yet people did not simply stop living. Farmers exchanged grain for clothing. Blacksmiths repaired tools in return for food. Communities survived through relationships rather than banknotes. Wealth was measured by fertile land, skilled hands, healthy livestock, and neighbors willing to help. During these desperate years, trust became the world's most valuable currency. Fast forward to the French Revolution, where the government attempted to solve crushing debt by printing enormous quantities of paper money known as assignats. At first, optimism spread. There seemed to be enough money for everyone, but soon, printing presses worked faster than the economy itself. Prices exploded. Bread became unaffordable. Ordinary workers watched their wages become worthless within days. Once again, society discovered that paper alone cannot create prosperity. What endured instead were food supplies, craftsmanship, family networks, and communities capable of producing real goods. The 20th century brought one of history's most dramatic examples in Germany after the First World War. Hyperinflation turned everyday life into a nightmare. Workers collected wages twice a day because prices changed by the hour. Children stacked worthless banknotes into towers as toys because they were cheaper than building blocks. Families burned piles of cash for warmth because firewood cost even more. Yet even amid economic chaos, people with farmland could still grow food. Mechanics could repair machines. Doctors could heal patients. Teachers could educate children. Human knowledge retained value long after paper currency collapsed. Similar scenes unfolded in Zimbabwe, where trillion-dollar notes bought almost nothing, and in Venezuela, where inflation erased years of savings. Across every continent and every century, one remarkable pattern appears. Money changes. Governments rise and fall. Financial systems collapse. But the foundations of civilization remain astonishingly consistent. Food still feeds the hungry. Water still sustains life. Shelter still protects families. Skills still solve problems. Trust still builds communities. During the Great Depression, millions lost jobs, banks failed, and fear spread across nations. Yet neighborhoods organized food kitchens. Farmers shared harvests. Families repaired old clothes instead of buying new ones. Survival depended less on wealth recorded in ledgers and more on cooperation between people. Even during wars, when currencies often became unstable, cigarettes, chocolate, soap, fuel, and canned food frequently replaced official money because they possessed immediate practical value. Economists call this intrinsic value, but history simply calls it common sense. Every financial crisis strips away illusions and forces societies to remember what truly matters. This doesn't mean money is useless. Quite the opposite. Money remains one of humanity's greatest inventions because it allows strangers to trade efficiently across enormous distances. But money is ultimately a bridge. not the destination itself. It represents value. It is not value itself. When confidence disappears, the paper survives. The numbers remain on screens, yet the meaning behind them fades. Real wealth has always been something deeper. It exists in fertile soil that grows crops, in factories that build machines, in engineers who solve impossible problems, in nurses who save lives, in teachers who pass knowledge to future generations, and in entrepreneurs who create opportunities from nothing. These are assets no inflation can fully erase. Every empire believed its financial system would last forever, from Rome to Spain, from Britain to modern superpowers. Yet history whispers the same warning through every fallen civilization. Currencies are temporary, but human ingenuity is remarkably permanent. So the next time headlines scream about inflation, debt, banking crises, or market crashes, remember that history has witnessed these storms countless times before. Civilizations did not survive because their money was perfect. They survived because people adapted, created, traded, trusted one another, and rebuilt from the ground up. In the end, when money fails, what survives is not the paper, the coins, or the digital balances displayed on glowing screens. What survives is knowledge, productive skills, resilient communities, natural resources, innovation, courage, and the unbreakable human instinct to build again. That has always been the true currency of civilization, and history suggests it always will be.